Gurubhyo Namaha. Namaste friends. Today's topic is on childbirth. Analyzing childbirth with Jyotisha and data. We have created an Excel for progeny analysis. So it's a progeny analyzer that I would be describing to you. Let me take you through how it all emerged before I plunge into the exact Excel program itself. So before based program that we had. So then we have birth time rectification. We had a lot of files there. Divisional charts we did for various divisional charts. We had longevity calculations. We did a few on longevity. Marriage and relationships compatibility also we did a few. There were some on finance and profit, profession and all that based on Ashtakavarga, stocks and all that we have done. Planetary influence and transits like Ashtakavarga and Gochara, these things we have a few. When I was looking at all this, Panchangam also we have very many tools there. Nakshatras and yogas, personal database I do have how to pull out things, latitudes, how to retrieve people, things like that. Spiritual and esoteric tables like I have some which maybe I have not shared some of them. Maybe I have shared a few of them on Carnatic Ragas and all that. So that is one aspect. Astrological theories, some I have done. Bhavatraya is something I have done which I have not published yet, and Nishekadana I have done, Yogatara and all that I have done but not published a few of them. In terms of annual charts, we have done Tithi Pravesha. On KP, we have done a few. We have Sheshadri Ayas. Dasa progression, we have done fairly good numbers. Chakras, we have done Kota Chakra, Aya, and all that. Sarvatobhadra. Some, of course, Dibba Chakra, some are to be done yet. And when I was looking into childbirth, there was nothing that I had done really other than just a simple calculation on whether it would be a male or a female child. So that's what prompted me. So these others, of course, you can see what all the fundamentals that we have. We have a few on numerology, simple calculations which I have not maybe published. Orrery, we have a few on Jamakol, I have not published it. Jaimini, of course, a very little on Jaimini. So when I was looking into and asking my friend, Dr. Prasad ji, he is a PhD in astrology, is a retired bank official, so he is deep into astrology. So I was asking him whether he can provide me material on analyzing progeny. So Dr. C.K. Prasad, he was extremely generous he has done a lot of compilation work. He has done a thesis on progeny itself. So he was very, very generous to provide all that material to us today to create this Excel. So my first and foremost thanks to him. So generally the queries that come for are denial of children. So many people don't have children. So he speaks about what is called a macro and a micro analysis. So Saptamsa is the divisional chart of prime importance there. People do not get children at all. Sometimes there is a delay of children. Some people don't adopt, but some people adopt. There is infertility. These are all negatives that happen. And even if it is going to be fertility, how to check that this year Arudas come in there. The third Aruda and the ninth Aruda play a vital role in fertility checks, as well as the Aruda from the Surya, the AS3 and AS9. If there is a 8th from that, the infertility can bring in troubles there. When can I conceive is something people are keenly interested in. So where all will twins be born, what will be the gender of the children, what will be the number of children, and what are remedies to be done. These are generally queries that come to us. And luckily Dr. Prasad ji has done a detailed review of what he calls as a macro analysis. See, macro analysis first initially is based upon the fifth house, the fifth lord in which Rasi it is, fifth lord from Jupiter himself, Jupiter dispositor. All these, do they fall in Dagda Rasis? and he has collected signs which are either barren or fruitful or semi-fruitful. So in which of these rasis they fall, whether barren rasis or fruitful or semi-fruitful. And nakshatras also he has classified, not exactly but he has compiled classifications based upon literature sources as male, female and eunuch nakshatras. So this is one classification A, there is a classification B. So depending upon what these factors fall in either Dagdaradis or in all these, maybe in sign fertility, all this can be checked. If in one tool we can check all this, this macro analysis can help us how good the chart is in terms of progeny. And further to the macro analysis, it does what is called a micro analysis. Santana Tithi, there are multiple methods. He has pulled out methods of Santana Tithi from Prashna Marga and compile them together based upon moon and sun or moon and ascendant. There are two methods there. And that Santana Tithi, we get a Tithi Karana also. And some Karanas are good, some Karanas are bad. We have these negative Karanas, Vishti Karana and all the fixed Karanas which are also bad. So something which we normally some softwares give, some sort of softwares do not give this, very few of them give this. So, and even if they give only for one method. We have multiple methods here, so all that can be checked together. And the Bija Kshetra Sputa, that's a different topic in the microanalysis that he brings about. Very nicely compiled on how to compute all this. We have these things in Excel, and since we have done all this now in Excel, it allowed us to do a data analysis. Mainly I have done based upon Santana Tithi and how that affects. We will find out that some of the Rikta Tithis are really bad. Purnima, Namavasya, Shukla Paksha and Krishna Paksha. We have done a 240 cases of EA, provided with me a lot of data compilation of 240 people who do not have children, and he has collected them over many years and from the databases and all that. So he was kind enough to share all that, and we have in Excel all this data together, and we'll finally see what we can get as a moral from the analysis. So I will now plunge into the Excel file directly. So here is the file where you give as before choose the Ainamsa. All these colored items are the user inputs. So you give the name of the person, date, time and place, and the time zone, and also the gender. So in the gender you'll have to select whether it is a Purusha or a Stri. Of course, when you are giving us a data, you have a choice to choose this. And the date time, see the third is the Napumsuka, is both male or female, and of course that might be, we normally don't give it as an input, so we give it as a Purusha or as a Stri. And the rest are all calculated, the date, time and all that are calculated. And when you jump to the main sheet, this is the only input sheet. Of course you can select some things here. So you choose a particular row number. I gave it as a row number because the data analysis was easier from there. So depending on the row number in the previous sheet, this is the row number. You choose a person essentially. So that person is pulled out from that number. And the place, the latitude, longitude are calculated as formulas here. So if you give the place, from the place the latitude and longitude are determined, and from the GMT you don't get the ascendant right here. I have not calculated the ascendant here. Ascendant is calculated only for the person that you are choosing. So because to minimize some calculations there. So you have the degree part, the latitude, longitude, GMT and the Ainamsa will determine the ascendant, and the rest are all actually determined in the previous table itself. So you just pull it from there. So this in essence pulls the data, and here I have the age of the person also to just give us an idea of how long they have been childless. So that is one thing. and the Tithi, the natal born Tithi, which is also calculated here to the right here, is just for purpose of just looking it and using it here further, it is used here. See, for each Tithi, there are what are called Dagda Rashis, burnt Rashis. So I have a code inside now. Given the Tithi, it will tell me the Dagda Rashi. Okay, so this is the first Dagda Rashi, this is the second Dagda Rashi, this is the third Dagda Rashi, this is the fourth Dagda Rashi. There can be maximum 4 Dagda Rashis. For some there won't be third Dagda or fourth Dagda. So in this case, the Tithi Shashti, so Aries and Leo become the Dagda Rashis. How these are, to understand, we can get into the notes that he has given. Prasad ji gave me the notes on Dagda Rashis. Pratama Tula and Makara Dagda, Dvitiya Dhanushan. So that way, this is now coded. So he has given the actual reference also that he has given. So you can go back to the notes and check how these are calculated. So Dagda Rashis are really bad for fertility. So that is one aspect that is captured here. Now, as usual, this is a table of all our preliminary calculations, in which Rasi number it is, in which Rasi it is, what is the degree in DMS, degree minutes seconds, the Charakarakas, the Nakshatras, the Amsa number, in which Bhava it is. In Bhava, I have a separate Bhava table here. So in the Bhava table, we calculate each Bhava from the cusp. So cusp is the middle of the Bhava, it is assumed to be the middle, and therefore we get a start assuming that each Bhava is 30 degrees in span. Because if you want, you can change these tables the way you want, because we have already done Sripati divisions and other things. So from the cusp, how you get all that, if you want, you can change that. So in each we get each Bhava as a cusp. So the cusp falls in a particular nakshatra. So we can on a Rasi. So each Rasi has a barren, it is either fruitful or it is semi-fruitful or totally infertile. So depending upon that, we are assigning this. We are calculating this sign fertility. Similarly, each Bhava has a nakshatra, because the cusp you can allocate a nakshatra to it. So nakshatra has a gender. So if you go to the notes here, he has given us micro-analysis. Let me not get into it. Nakshatra classification of 27 nakshatras in 2 groups. So each group is Purusha nakshatra, Stri nakshatra or Napumsaka nakshatras he has given. In group B, it's a different reference. So the classification is different there. But again, you see which are the nakshatras that are given there. So that way, you for each the Graha table, you can have a fertility column, a nakshatra agenda column as per A classification, as per B classification. Similarly, for the Bhavas also, you can have these things. And suppose what I have made as red is, suppose this person is gender is 3. And if he has a lot of barren and or not Stri nakshatras, if she has a Napumsaka and Purusha nakshatras, then it is a male-dominated Stri. Of course, all other grahas do not matter much. Guru matters most, because Guru is the Karaka for child. So in this case, Guru himself is in a barren sign. Of course, it is in a Stri nakshatra, welcome for the lady. But as per the nakshatra B classification, it's a Purusha nakshatra. In fact, it should be marked red here. I will correct that. Yeah, it has to be marked red there. All the Purusha nakshatras. I think I have not done that properly. So let me. I think the formula. I'll correct and send it to you. Okay, that is one aspect. So when we come to the first, the macro analysis that I told you, 5th house, the 5th lord in, 5th lord from Jupiter in, Jupiter itself, Jupiter's dispositor in. So it will all be dynamically calculated once you choose different people here. You can choose different people here, and immediately all that will change for you. So that is the beauty of this. Suppose you choose to 2, you get a 2. So this particular lady has all in Baran sign. She has all these in the most of them in Dagda. I have a count of the Dagda. It is Dagda count, not Dagda. So it is Dagda count. So that has too many. We can monitor number of Dagdas that is giving to childlessness. All this 240 data he has given. All these people are without child. So that is a huge collection of data that he has provided. Not only in India, it's everywhere there. Some of them I added from my own people who are childless. So this particular lady I have just taken for illustration seems to be very negative with regard to childbirth, and which is the real case as well. So, and when we come to micro analysis, as I said, Santana Ravi is calculated, Santana Tithi is calculated as just as normal Tithi is calculated. For normal Tithi, you need moon minus sun, okay, and then there are 15 Tithis, so you divide by 15, you divide by 12 and you get 15 Tithis, right? So the Tithi number, once you divide by 12 and take the Tithi number, you can also find how much Tithi percentage is left or percentage is crossed, and what Tithi actually, whether Krishna Paksha, what Tithi it is, and each Tithi has related Karanas also, so you know which Karana she is born in. So Karana Tithi, this is the Karana type. Karana type comes in because some are fixed Karanas, some are movable Karanas. So let us maybe check the influence of Karanas. I put a notes for that. Okay, Phalam Karanas. So these Karanas, Bhava, Balava, Kaulava, Taitula, Garaja and Vanija are positive Karanas. Vishti is a very, if a person is born in these Karanas, they are hostile to everybody, addicted to sinful deeds and all that are there. They could be even Purnima, they will be Vishti Karana. They will be self-reliant, they will be honored by servants and attendants. These are fixed Karanas, the Shakuni, Chatushpada, Naga, Kimstukna. So what the effects are. So depending, there are only 11 Karanas. So depending upon the Tithi, this is the natal part of it. Just to get an idea, and if the calculations are right, you can just compare it with, say, Jagannath or any software, how with the Karanas and Pakshas and Tithis are calculated correctly. Because I'm using same code inside for finding the Santana Tithi also. See, in normal Tithi it is moon minus sun. In Santana Tithi it is 5 times the moon minus 5 times the sun. That is how it is. There are what are called Chitra Tithis. Chitra Tithis, when it happens to be Ekadasi, and then it becomes a Chitra Tithi or not, we have to, there's this automatically pulls out things. So, and some reasons, if it is adoption alone could work and all that are there. If it is Vanija Karana, Vishti Karana, all that, you can go through the notes. There are 2 specific methods here. In the first method, it is just 5 minus moon minus 5 minus 5 times moon minus 5 times the sun. Whereas in the second method, it is 5 times moon and 5 times ascendant. Okay, so that is what is carried in here. This is Santana moon and Santana sun, which are calculated here as 5 times ascendant. So instead of the sun, the ascendant is proposed in method 2. And in this case, that happens to be in a Krishna Paksha Chaturdashi, which is extremely supposed to be very bad see, all this you can refer to Prashna Marga volume 2, the wonderful translation by Prof.B.V.Raman ji. So that's a great work. So that is, see, this becomes a Vishtikarna also. So this becomes extremely negative for the lady in terms of the micro analysis as well as the macro analysis. And you see multiple red colors spilled everywhere. Okay, this is one part of it. When we post the questions like we use the macro and micro analysis, and Saptamsa based also is a wonderful information that you can get. So you need Saptamsa. So I have pulled here the divisional charts are all created, traditional divisional charts are all calculated here. So from the Saptamsa, we have some notes from Upadesha Sutras of from Sanjay Rath's group. And this, as I said, when you maybe make it big, it will be clearer. This part is the A3, A9 and AS3, AS9, I told you already. The 8th from that, if it happens to be from if the 8th from AS9, Mercury and Venus in the same sign, and if it happens to be the 8th from the AS9, then childbirth is doubtful. So those in Kova, the crux of Vedic Astrology book, you can go through the notes for how these are useful. It's okay in terms of whether they should go for artificial insemination or anything like that. If too many afflictions, so fertility conception becomes very difficult. So this is something that you can use. And since you need the Arudas, this A3, AS3, as I said, these are Aruda, third Aruda, the 9th Aruda of the 9th Bhava. AS3 is from the Surya. So I have the Aruda Pada from Lagna here and Aruda Padas from Surya here compiled together. All that computation tables are here. So that is one aspect which is clearly brought out here. So if you similarly look into the other questions like delay of children, maybe if Saturn governs most of the fifth lord under the macro analysis and all, delay of children is likely. So when is adoption, when is infertility, fertility check of course I did now. So when will I conceive? This is when will the conducive transits be? So that's something also done here. For that, these times are favorable when Surya transits. Suppose you already know the year and all, and Surya transits particular Navamsa sign occupied by Ketu. In this case, it happens to be, these are all computed, either in Rasi or Navamsa. This is a month very powerful for conception. So wherever Ketu is for the person, that is a very good sign. In this case, Ketu happens to be in Virgo. In the Navamsa sign, it is in Taurus. Okay. So Navamsa sign occupied by Ketu is what is Taurus. So when Sun transits this Taurus either in Rasi or Navamsa, then it is conducive for birth of a child. But of course, when the macro and micro analysis itself deny children, there is no question of conception here. Okay. And trines to Dharapada. So we need to know where Dharapada is. Dharapada is 7th, A7 is Dharapada. And there could be multiple A7. There could be A7 additional also because some Rasis are ruled by two Gragas. So we have here A7 is already identified as Aries. And therefore, what are the trines to those signs also good for conception. Jupiter's Trimsamsa, you need the divisional chart of Trimsamsa here. So that is, we have already plotted there. So it is actually calculating all that. So when Sun transits 10 to 18 degrees in odd Rasis, you can easily monitor this instead of going and creating a Trimsamsa and all that. So when Sun transits 12 to 20 degrees in even Rasis, odd Rasis, even Rasis, everyone knows. So this direct odd Rasis, even Rasis. So transit wise, which will be a conducive date, you can immediately, when a client comes to you, you can immediately give them this idea. I also have Ashtakavargas because Ashtakavarga have a powerful way of finding out how many children you can get and all that. So Ashtakavarga, once you choose the person here, so everything is to be chosen, the person, the row number to be chosen here. That is carried forward to this Prastara Ashtakavarga table. So this is created for that person. Okay. This I have just password protected. Of course, the password itself I have given because in case something you delete unfortunately, accidentally, then it will be trouble. So that way. When you come to the reduced Ashtakavarga, this is where we have to click on the Trikona reduction because this is pulled now directly from the Ashtakavarga, Prastara Ashtakavarga sheet. So it creates for the particular individual. but individually you have to do the Trikona reduction and you have to individually do the Ekadipatya reduction. Once that is done, okay, then find the fifth house from the Lord of the fifth from Jupiter situated. The person will have as many children as there are bindus in that house. In this case, it is in Leo. See, in this case, it identifies the fifth from Jupiter, fifth Lord from Jupiter, where it is, and all that. So it automatically finds out and tells you how many children are possible after the Ekadipatya reduction. Of course, this person did not have any child. So this might work out for some people, some might not work out. So it is for the calculation. I have found it to work out for many people as well. So you can give it a use. All the yellow ones are something that I have included now. From C.S. Patel, G.S. Ashtakavarga, some slokas I have tried to automate. Here, Jupiter transit in particular nakshatra gives a child. So it finds this, you can read through. It happens to be Dhanishta, Purvashada, Scorpio, Purvashada. So looks like Jupiter, you can immediately say, somebody comes and asks you, when will I get my child? You can just look for Jupiter transit, run through the Excel and see this nakshatras whenever it goes through, or through Scorpio it goes through. In this case, the child will be born. And in which ascendant the sloka 39 of this particular chapter, in which ascendant the sun will be born is also you can calculate that. So these are some tidbits here and there. Of course, very powerful ones also. So you can use this and see how very well this runs for you. So more or less, I think we are ending all the capabilities of this Excel tool. So I think I have shown you, 1 minute again. We have seen fertilities, when will I conceive, twins, there are multiple rules for twins, genders, the number of children we already saw. So some rules here and there are scattered. So those things I have captured. Let me come to the rules part here. So some rules from the Upadesha Sutras of this I have used here, Upadesha Sutras. Mercury, Saturn, Venus in Saptamsa Lagna deny children. So that is worked out. Child denial is there. In fact, Mercury and Saturn and Venus in Saptamsa Lagna is there for this person, looks like. So if you want to see whether Saptamsa Mercury alone is there. Okay, Mercury, I have taken one of them at least, not all the three. So Mercury in Saptamsa is there in this girl, this lady's chart, which is in a child denial. Some aspects are there. Sun, Rahu, Jupiter in the 9th give many sons, it says. I am checking these are really there in this chart. It's not there. So there is no question of more children. Moon in the 9th gives only one son. It is not found to be applicable here. Similarly, all these rules, even twins were there. I think third lord in the third, first to 8th gives twins. So in this case, who is the third lord and where it is placed I have found. So you should give twins if at all, but already macro and micro analysis show no child. So this doesn't appear. In fact, this worked very well for my sister. And these rules are very fascinating. Some work very strongly. And with all this, then let me again, I think we have covered whatever is hinted at. So since we have all the data of people who are childless, I thought let me put it into test. So we have a data analysis on childlessness and Sanatana Tithi. Sanatana Tithi, we have two methods, right? So we have Sanatana Tithi 1, Sanatana Tithi 2. So if you choose that for the total number of data, 240 points, you can maybe add to that, it will automatically update this. If you run this code, which means it will compute the Sanatana Tithi for all the people, and what I very interestingly found, I found these are the Tithis and the sterility frequency for the 240 data. 13 people are from Sukla Tritiya in this data. 12 are, if you see that, childless people, Krishna Chaturthi turns out to be maximum. We have Navami that turns out to be very strongly maximum. And we have Chaturdashi, which are all Rikta Tithis. So very clearly coming out that the Rikta Tithis in Krishna Paksha are extremely bad for progeny. Of course, 240 data might not be still sufficient. We might need more data. But this itself is voluminous data for a specific aspect like no child case. So we should thank Prasad ji for his immense patient collection of all this data. So when I ran it for Shukla Paksha data, even in this 240 data, people, somehow the Shukla Paksha seems to be more or less equal, but sometimes in this particular, what I found was, as per Sanatana Tithi 1 calculation, this Rikta Tithis emerged very strongly, and Sanatana Tithi 2 calculation I find is more applicable for the Shukla Paksha. Of course, all these are only for Sanatana Tithi, one specific Sanatana Tithi 1 I think I have calculated it for. So Rikta Tithis come out very strongly, and one aspect is if the rules say that the Tithi happens to be Amavasya or Purnima, there is no child. So we have some cases there, of course, that's not showing up in all cases. So there is a few cases here, you can go through which of the cases, I don't remember clearly. So some are Amavasya born, so you can in fact check, you can in fact filter out who were Amavasya born here. So Amavasya is 30, okay, and Purnima is 15. That is the notation here. So there are quite a few Amavasya and Purnima borns here. So row number 20, 23 and all that are childless people. So many people either in Amavasya or Purnima together. So many people are born there. So that is something to be noted. We think Purnima is good, but for childbirth, this is not the normal Purnima. We are talking about the Sanatana Tithi, which is Amavasya or Purnima. It's not the normal Purnima. Okay, so that is something you can check with your own data, add to it. So in effect, you have multiple remedies also that are collected, again thanks to Prashna Marga, which gives you remedies. If the affliction is due to Saturn, Sarpa Bali is indicated. If there are curses that you see there, Devas and the mains, especially the curses with the Lord of the 5th and Jupiter and the luminaries and the Lord of the 9th, 5, 9, the Jupiter, all these luminaries, then the children will die due to the curse of the Devas. So you have to satisfy the mains then. Childlessness, if it is due to malefics occupying the 4th, Lord of the 4th occupying the 6th, 8th or 12th, then dosha is in his own residence. So so you see what the wrath of what is giving that, which God is involved, so who we have to pacify. So this is Pitrus, when it is new moon and full moon day that I was telling you, then the dissatisfaction of the Pitrus is the cause for the childlessness. So you have to do Sraddham and all that properly. Sanatana Tithi, if it is, see Shukla Paksha, normally the rules say you don't get, if the problem is falling in the Sanatana Tithi is falling Shukla Paksha and giving trouble, then Lord Vishnu has to be prayed to. And if it is Krishna Paksha, Lord Shiva has to be prayed to. And if it is the 6th lunar day, God Subramanya, 4th Ganapati, 9th Durga. So these are something very clearly laid out. And I had cases, normally more number of cases are coming out this way, where people have left out the achara. And this is what this abhichara, the remedy is you have to definitely practice reading the Puranas and all that. We see the Rikta Tithis, the 4th, 9th and 14th that you see here, because all this data are strongly people of the modern times, right? And we are, more of us are people having lost our acharas. So that abhichara proportion is more. That's why I think the 4th, 9th and 14th from our data set is reflecting very strongly. So all that we have to stick on to our acharas very strongly is what it seems to suggest. There will be serpent afflictions when there is Vishtikarana, serpent god has to be prayed to. If it is a full moon day, then Purusha Sukta is to be recited to if the moon is strong. That is, these are also Sanatana Tithis. If it happens to be a full moon day, then maybe Satyanarayana Puja on a full moon day is to be done. Okay, dark off remedies like Santana Gopala mantra and all that would be helpful. Even if you see, you do get childlessness even in Pratama, Dvitiya and all that. There are, of course, percentages are lesser. It is more only year. Okay, year strangely in Shukla Paksha Chaturthi is not very harmful. The way at least this data shows. Shukla Chaturdashi is also not harmful, not that bad. We should be worried about even somehow strangely Tritiya topped year. Panchami also topped, but the rules don't say that. Ashtami, I have seen people with Ashtami getting children, not a problem. Only Navami was a trouble. And Navami was clearly a trouble in both the Pakshas. And Chaturdashi was very clearly a trouble in... as I said, we have to work out which method works here. I think for Krishna Paksha people, we have to go by this method. And for Shukla Paksha people, there's a method 2. The Sanatana Tithi 1 and 2, we have to check which works better for the other person. So in essence, this is what in store for us. So we have to accept what is in store. Of course, doing remedies will help definitely. And I'll conclude by what Mr. Prasad ji gave me as a moral of the analysis. If there is a probability, the native may proceed after taking the necessary remedial measures for getting a child. Otherwise, they can save significant amount of money and more importantly protect their physical and mental well-being, and that can be known by this analysis. This Excel tool will be very helpful hopefully to all of us. So I'll give this as a downloadable link. Kindly thank Mr. Prasad ji in your comments, and definitely give your feedback on what you feel about this work, and so that we can what improvements further. One thing I forgot to talk about in the previous video is on the micro-analysis of Bija and Kshetra Sphutas. See, the Bija Sphuta, if the gender is Purusha, then Sun plus Venus plus Jupiter represents the Bija Sphuta as per method 1, whereas the Kshetra Sphuta by the same method, if the gender happens to be Sri, it is Moon plus Mars plus Jupiter. This is method 1. There are different methods there. You can just go through. It is 4 times the Sun, 3 times the Venus, and 3 times the Jupiter as per the other method. And similarly, for the male and female, there will be differences and which gragas are taken. And there is something different here. It is Sun plus Venus plus Jupiter into 27. The mode of that is taken here. The third, the fourth is something slightly different. So I had to write a separate code inside, depending on Sun, Venus and Jupiter. You can go through the code and understand how that is calculated. This 5, in fact, is an interpretation by the author. 5 users, you can go to the notes and check how these are computed. For the 5th method, if it is, it is based upon the Bija Sphuta of the first method itself. So we can maybe use the first method Bija Sphuta or the second method's Bija Sphuta, which is actually calculated here. So if you see here, I am calculating it will show you it is using the entire lot, but say it is based upon the second method, and this is based upon the third method. So you have multiple methods essentially for Bija Sphuta, and the individual can choose which method he wants to compute finally the Bija Sphuta that will be populated in this table. So this is the Bija Sphuta and Kshetra Sphuta for the method chosen by the individual, by the user. Okay, this part is also to be understood clearly. And the afflictions to the Bija Sphuta, because Bija Sphuta is now a part of that table and it comes back here. Bija Sphuta and Kshetra Sphuta, whatever you choose there, that turns out to be the degree there, and all these are calculated for that, and Kshetra Sputa and all that. I also included Datta Sputa. You check Prashna Marga and how to use this, and the afflictions to these things. In this case, you see, the Datta Sputa happens to be in the 8th with Saturn and Rahu, so that there is no possibility of even an adopted child for this case. And Datta Sputa is as per that. And Bija Sputa, this is Kshetra Sputa seems to be fairly okay here, but if you see the Navamsa, it is severely afflicted by Rahu Ketu axis, so it is problematic here. And if you see maybe Saptamsa and all that, you can check where these Sputas come in various charts. The Saptamsa, as I said, is placed here. Seems to be okay here with Jupiter in the 5th, only delay is seen here. Yeah, I mean, depending upon how you visualize how severely these angles are near to Saturn and Rahu, you can interpret the chart. So kindly note about these Bija Kshetra Sputas, which are very important in the microanalysis. Thank you.